You know, it's interesting because Dan Campbell said he was going to take his time when it came to hiring new coaches and filling in roles. And that is the exact opposite of what he is doing. He is moving at lightning speed, it seems like, and he is winning battles. And the Detroit Lions have wasted zero time in their next hire. And in this, we are going to go over 3 hires. 3 hires. Since I did a video yesterday, all right, there have been 3 hires. That's what's crazy about this. So it's going to be an early morning video here. And we are going to talk about these, what they mean, but more so, I want to look at what this means in comparison because it's an arms race when it comes to coaches. You have a limited staff, and when you have a limited staff and you know you're losing both coordinators and both coordinators are trying to poach, you have to figure out what you're going to do with your staff quickly, because if they're going to come in and offer them promotions, you have to decide, are you going to do the same thing? This is a really, really quick move, and personally, I like it. I'm going to be honest. I like it. I'm going to tell you why I like it in a second. But first, here is from Shepard. All right. Kelvin Sheppard has accepted the defensive coordinator position and has been promoted to your new Detroit Lions defensive coordinator. He said he is beyond blessed and thankful for this opportunity. This is a guy who has been on this staff with Campbell from really almost the beginning. And I remember an interview from 3 years ago when he said he came in, he was going to go get a haircut, and Dan Campbell was like, nope, no, you're not. Not on my watch, because he wants coaches to genuinely be who they are. Kelvin Sheppard is a wonderful example of a person who has thrived, absolutely thrived, under the leadership of Dan Campbell. He just has. And I am very excited to see what he does with this defense. I'm excited to see if he's as stubborn as Aaron Glenn is. I'm excited to see if he's going to be as cornerback-centric, by the way, he won't, as Aaron Glenn was. I think one of the most underutilized positions in football is the linebacker position on defense. And if you have a coach that knows how to utilize linebackers, who are often some of the most versatile players on an entire football field, then you usually have defenses that play very, very well. So I'm very excited to see what this defense could look like. But with that, there is another move in the coaching tree on the defensive side that we're going to talk about a little bit. But again, I have a bigger picture on this. But before I get into that, tell me, what do you think of the Kelvin Sheppard hire? Are you excited? Did you hope that we were going outside of our coaching tree in order to get a defensive coordinator? When I saw Saleh go to the 49ers, I did wonder about someone like a Dennis Allen or something like that. We're not doing it. We're promoting from within. And as you know, Dan Campbell loves himself some former players. Speaking of former players, former Detroit Lions players, Shaun Hamilton gets a well-deserved promotion to linebackers coach. So he is taking over for Kelvin Sheppard, who moved into the defensive coordinator role. So I know that there's a lot going on. So what I want to do is I want to show you just kind of an org chart. All right, feel free to zoom in, all right, because this is as close as I can get with it. But feel free to zoom in on your phone or whatever you're watching this on. All right, here is our org chart. As you know, we lost Ben Johnson. And on the offensive side of the ball, well, let's first go defense. Kelvin Sheppard moves in, all right? Shaun Hamilton moves up. We lost Williams as our defensive line coach, and we get essentially someone who actually had a bigger role over in Tampa Bay than Williams did here, in Casey Rogers. And he will be not only defensive line coach, but run game coordinator. He took a lateral move to get that. All right. On the offensive side of the ball, we lost Ben Johnson. We lost Antoine Randall L. And recently, J.T. Barrett, who is the assistant quarterbacks coach. I think that makes it even more important to try and hold on to Mark Brunell. I also think it's very interesting that Ben Johnson went straight to J.T. Barrett instead of Mark Brunell. I think that's very unique to me, but I think Mark Brunell and Jared Goff have a good relationship. Now, here's the thing that I always like to talk about when it comes to new coaches. But before we get into that, we have to talk about one more person. All right. And that one more person is Hank Fraley. He is staying. His wife tweeted a couple of days ago that Detroit is home. They are staying. Somebody in the comments said, I thought it was looking like Seattle. She said, it was close, but we love Detroit too much. This is home. So in that, Hank Fraley is no longer just offensive line coach. He is run game coordinator / offensive line coach. This is interesting. This is interesting because Scotty Montgomery was the run game coordinator and running backs coach. That's what's so interesting. Well, no, he wasn't run game coordinator. I'm wrong. He was just the assistant head coach and running backs. So he may keep that same title. Scotty might keep that same title, and we'll see what happens. But here's the part that I find so interesting that I was talking about, how it's going to be a battle between Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, and Ben Johnson for a large part of this staff. Are people staying? Are they going? And depending on what you see in that is kind of what can help you determine where everything is gone. So we have retained Shaun Hamilton. We have retained Kelvin Sheppard. We have retained Hank Fraley. All right, since Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn left. We have lost J.T. Barrett and Antoine Randall. Dan Campbell is winning the battle 3-2. Sometimes I think of this like a mini battle on Mario Party, where Dan Campbell is fighting against both the other guys, and he's having to do this at quick lightning speed. All right, so, and there are still areas, and he also got Casey Rogers. But when you look at this, are you happy with the coaching staff that the Lions are putting together? And you have to wonder how long they're going to take on the offensive coordinator side. I really do believe they're going to hire from within, or it's going to simply be that Dan Campbell is going to call the plays, and he's going to do kind of what he did before, where you have a passing game coordinator, a running game coordinator. They each give an idea, and he ends up calling a play from that. I think that it could be very, very interesting. So we've had 3 promotions, 1 addition, and I guess technically if you, of course, add Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, we've had 5 losses. So that's kind of where we sit. That's where we sit. And the positions that we have yet to fill are offensive coordinator, wide receivers coach, an assistant quarterbacks coach on the offensive side of the ball. And on the defensive side of the ball, the only thing that we have to backfill right now is an assistant linebackers coach. That's it. That's it. So, and they might not even have to do a ton of that because we had an outside linebackers coach and Shaun Hamilton, which oversaw the linebackers in general. So, yes, the Lions are wasting no time. Continue watching these videos each day because the moves just keep on coming. And I have to be honest with you, and this is what I want to talk about now in this back part of this video. I think Kelvin Sheppard is going to be a better defensive coordinator than Aaron Glenn. I really do. I think he has a temperament that is very good for the defensive coordinator position. And what I mean by that is, of course, as a former player, he's going to have rapport with the players, just like Aaron Glenn did. But I also feel like there's a little more humility in Kelvin Sheppard, which is a good thing. I feel like he's confident, but at the same time humble. I also think that because of that humility, he may not demand that his former position is the center of the defense. Aaron Glenn asked too much out of his corners. He just did. And you can talk about training staff. You can talk about bad luck. I agree. Those probably played a factor in all the injuries. But if you have 21 players go on IR over the course of a season or whatever it was, and 18 of them are on the defensive side of the ball, some of it has to be on how they play defense and what they're asking of those players. And not only that, but the vast majority of injuries happened, I would say, on the defensive line and at corner. So you have to look at those things and be like, all right, what was he asking them to do? And I think you're going to get the linebackers that are going to get a little more run in this. I think it's going to be good. I think this is going to be fantastic as a focal point. They're in the middle of the defense. You want to be strong up the middle. That's what you want to do. So I'm very excited to see what Shep is going to do with this defense. I think it will be more multiple. I think it will be more willing to bend the scheme and change up in response to what the offense is doing or what different offenses do. I don't think it's going. I mean, Aaron Glenn, it felt like would almost do thirds or halves of seasons where, I mean, he wasn't going to adjust mid-game, but he was barely going to adjust game to game. It was just like, no, this is what we're going to do. Like, this is what we're going to do. Some games it was like, no, we're going to play heavy zone. That wasn't often. But most games it was, all right, we're going to play heavy man. Sometimes it was press man. Sometimes it was soft, very soft man. And it was just interesting because it was like, can we pivot? And that's where I think the level of humility that Shep is going to bring is going to be good because he's going to be willing to pivot instead of just sticking to what he wants. And I love Aaron Glenn. I love the picture of Aaron Glenn sitting, chilling back, leg up, right after we beat the Vikings and his defense played really, really well. But he had to be willing to realize the next 2 weeks later that Jaden Daniels was a different beast and a different animal, and you can't attack him the same way. You can't just consistently blitz the quarterback who is the best quarterback in the NFL. Jaden Daniels was statistically against the blitz. I don't think Shepard is going to do that. I really don't. And there's going to be growing pains. There's no doubt about that. But I think that the Lions are going to set him up for success because I think there's going to be some in free agency. There's going to be attention to the defense. And I think there's going to be attention to the defense in the draft. And we have more draft capital thanks to the losing of Aaron Glenn. We get 2 third-round picks, one this year, one next year. So we have our full complement of picks in the first 4 or 5 rounds of this draft. I think we have a first, second, third, fourth. We might not have a fifth. Then we have a sixth and 2 or 3 sevenths. So we have a full complement of draft picks again, which is fantastic. I'm happy for Aaron Glenn to go be a head coach over with the Jets. But I always wondered, like, is he going to take Shepard with him to New York? What's he going to do on the defensive side? Is he going to continue to call plays? I don't know. But what I know now is that we have our new guy. It is Kelvin Sheppard. I would be very interested to see. And I think that hire of Casey Rogers, I think that was significant because you bring in a guy who has been in the league for decades. And you bring in a guy that's experienced that can be able to help and assist Kelvin Sheppard in the things he doesn't understand about the position because he's been there, he's done that. So, good hire overall. I think it's a good hire. And the players, I'm sure, spoke up of their love for Shep. And look, all the players love Aaron Glenn. I know that, especially the DBs. Who knows? Shep may have had more of this locker room already. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Look, we all know we all want to be in the playoffs right now. We all know that you were hoping one of these games today, me too, was a Lions game. But it is fun to know that you have a quality team and a quality coaching staff, and it's fun to see Dan Campbell kind of reinvent what this team is because we had so much success instead of having to reinvent a Lions team because we're cleaning house because of lack of success. It's fun to see. All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.